Hello guys, what's up? The Code Toolkit is here and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to build a REST API using Deno and Oak framework and read and write data from MongoDB. So the project is available on my GitHub. Whatever I write in this video you can check out. The link will be in the description. I have also created a very small readme, and to demonstrate what endpoints we're going to create, we're going to have possibility to get nodes, get single node, create node, update node, and delete node. This will be basically a very simple CRUD, but we're going to interact with MongoDB and see how we can write and read data from MongoDB using Deno. Okay, so let me show you a working demo of this using Postman. Right here I have 5 endpoints. So, and let's when we actually get the nodes, right now it is an empty and it returns empty array. So let's create first node, click the send button, and this returns the following response, and it also writes date in the database when the node is created. So right now if I get all nodes, this one returns date as well. So let's create one more node, second node. Okay, hit the send. So this returns that node was created. Get all nodes. We have 2 nodes now. If I want to get one specific node, I will take this ID, pass it in the URL, hit the send button, and get this specific node. If I want to update specific node, I will do something similar, specify right here ID, and let's say that I only want to update the body. I don't want to update title and date. So I just specify body right here. It's not necessary to specify all the attributes of the node. Hit the send button, and this returns the updated node. If I now go to the get nodes, hit the send button right here, I see that the first node has updated body, but title and date is there also. And if I want to delete node, I'm going to go to the delete endpoint, paste the ID, hit the send button, and this one returns status 204, which means that it successfully did the job. And if I go to get to the nodes, hit the send, I see only one node. That's basically what we're going to build in this video. So I don't want to waste your time, so let's immediately jump into the video. Before we start, hit that like button and hit the subscribe and the bell buttons if you want to see more videos from me like this. And if you can, just share this video and support by sharing. All right, let's start. Alright, so here I have created a fresh new folder, and let's start building this REST API using MongoDB and Deno from absolutely scratch. So I'm going to create server.ts file, and I'm going to import Oak server first of all. For this, I'm going to open browser and go to the Deno third-party packages. So let's open the browser, and right here, let's go to the deno.land if you are not there, and then let's go to third-party modules. And right here, I'm going to search for Oak. Oak is middleware framework for Deno, and we're going to use this Oak framework to build REST API with MongoDB. Okay, so it has pretty good explanations what's going on right there. So I'm going to basically copy this application, this single line, and I'm going to change this. So I want this import right now. So I'm importing application. I also want to import a router from the following link. By the way, if you are building Deno application first time, you probably need to install Deno VS Code extension. So install the following extension. First, when you write this import statement, it gives you a red underline on this import URL. As soon as you install the extension and run a script, then this error basically disappears. So this extension is pretty cool for Deno development, so I really encourage you to install this extension. Okay, so now we have application and router, and I'm going to create an instance of the router. Okay, so router is new router. Then we need to configure our router to listen some particular routes. Router gets, so let's listen to the slash first of all and print some information right there. So basically the get method accepts right here a callback as a second argument, and this callback will be executed when the URL is slash. So I'm going to print right here context response dot body equals to welcome to nodes API, something like this. Okay, so then we're going to listen to a few more endpoints. We're going to listen to slash nodes, and we're going to call get nodes function, which yet doesn't exist. We're going to listen to get slash nodes colon ID, so to get one particular node, and I'm going to call the function get single node. We're going to also listen a couple of more URLs, so I'm going to just copy and paste this. So we're going to listen post on slash nodes, which will be called create node. We're going to have also update node and delete node. Okay, but for here, we're going to listen to delete method. Right here, we're going to listen to put, and this is already post. So let's have a look. So we're listening slash nodes and calling this function. We're listening nodes for particular ID and get single node. We're listening to post to create node and put to update the node and delete, of course. So we have all these roles configured. We just need to create these functions, which I'm going to do. But for now, we need to tell the application. First of all, we need to create the application. So const app equals new application. This is the application we just imported on first line. So then I'm going to tell the application to use the roles we just configured, router roles. And I'm going to also tell the application to allow methods, router allowed methods. All right. And after this, we can call listen method on the application with our port to be, for example, 8000. Okay, so this will start listening on port 8000. Why did I wrote single quotes right here? It's not necessary. And I'm going to write console log statement, server is up and running. All right. We're gonna we won't be able basically to test this unless we create these functions. Okay, so I'm gonna create right here roles.ts file and create functions from here and export them. Okay, so const get nodes will be a function, and this function will accept context right there. This will be an arrow function, and we're gonna simply return some response for now. Context response body equals get nodes. Okay, so we need to export these get nodes from here. Export get nodes, just like this. Awesome. We need to put this in the curly braces. Okay, nice. Now let's go to the server, and we need to import these get nodes from the roles we just created, and we need to specify extension because we are using Deno. In Deno, extensions are necessary to specify. Okay, I'm going to comment all the other roles for now, and let's see if this one works and if we actually see these get nodes. So let's save this. Let's open the terminal, and I'm going to run Deno run. We need to allow the net, so dash allow net. And then we're gonna specify right here server.ts. So the Deno is started. Basically, sometimes people pronounce it Deno, sometimes Deno. I watched a couple of videos from Ryan Dahl, and previously he was calling it Deno, but recently he's calling it Deno because it's a dinosaur. So I'm gonna call it Deno from now on. So if I just call it Deno mistakenly, I'm sorry about this. Apologies. Okay, right here, so because we are using TypeScript, basically, we need to specify what type of object the context is, and that happens on router.ts. Okay, so basically I should call this routes.ts. It's not router. Okay, so routes.ts, and right here I'm going to specify that this one is actually a router context. Okay, so the router context can be imported from the following file. So I'm going to copy this line, paste in the roles, and right here I don't want application and router, I just want router context class, and I'm going to specify right here that this context variable is an instance of a router context. So basically what we can do right here, we can specify any as well, but because we are using TypeScript, we need to use all the great features that TypeScript provides us. Okay, so I'm going to specify router context right here. So let's save this and let's run this. Okay, of course, router doesn't exist. We just renamed it's routes.ts. So let's execute this and let's have a look. So it's compiled, server is up and running. So let's now open Postman. Okay, so here is Postman. So, and let's make a request on get/nodes. Hit the send button. And let's see right here, we see this get nodes, which is awesome. We actually see it that it's working. So if we access on the main slash, so we see this welcome to nodes API. Okay, awesome. Now let's go and implement other roles, and then we need to actually implement the connection with MongoDB and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to uncomment all these lines right here and go to roles, and basically I'm going to actually, I'm going to do first MongoDB. Okay, so let's do first MongoDB. So for this video, I'm going to use Mongo Atlas. So if you are not, let me open this in the browser. So let's go to mongodb.com. So if you have locally installed MongoDB with Compass and you want to connect local database, that's totally fine. But for this video, I'm going to use the MongoDB Atlas, which is cloud-based MongoDB database, and I'm going to show you how you can do this. So you need to create an account if you are not, and then when you need to sign in. As soon as you are logged in the MongoDB Cloud Atlas, you will see the following page where we need to basically create a cluster. So I'm going to click this build a cluster button and choose these shared clusters, which is for free, so you don't have to pay anything. Then you need to choose the location and some parameters of your cluster. I'm going to leave most of the things default. So I'm going to choose AWS. I'm going to choose just Europe because it's closer to me. So then this is the cluster tier. So what parameters you want your cluster to have. So we're going to leave it as it is. I don't want any backups, and I'm going to only specify right here cluster name. That will be Deno test. Okay, let's call it like this. Create cluster. Okay, right here it's written that it needs about from 1 to 3 minutes until the cluster is being created. So I'm going to pause the recording and let's wait until this is done. So here is our cluster which was created, and we need to do a couple of things right here. So if you are absolutely new to this MongoDB Cloud, you need to check out this get started section. Right here we have a couple of checkpoints we need to do. So we build our cluster, then we need to create first database user. Okay, so I'm going to show how we can do this. Go to database access right here. I actually created the user, but I deleted to show this to you. Add new database user, and I'm going to choose the user with password, and I'm going to specify right here the username, which will be Deno. The password will be just secure random password, and I'm going to copy this password as well. And add user. We don't want basically anything right here. We just need to give it read and write permission. So I'm going to add user. So we have the user. Then we need to allow network access. Okay. By default, we won't be able to connect to this database unless we whitelist the IP. So I'm going to add new IP right here. I can choose my IP, or I'm going to allow access from anywhere. I'm going to do this right now because anyway, I'm going to delete this cluster later. Okay, so I'm going to allow access from anywhere, click confirm, and this will take a couple of seconds. And then we basically will be able already to connect to the database. Okay, so this IP is also active. So let's go to right now to the clusters, and right here, I'm going to click this connect button. Okay, so I'm going to connect with application. So this is the URL I'm going to paste in my application, but I have copied my password. So I'm going to paste the password right here somewhere. Okay, let me create a file, mongodb.ts, which will be the file we're going to use. I'm going to paste my password right here. So you can see it. I'm going to delete this later anyway. So, and then this is the URL, MongoDB connection URL. Okay, before I copy this, let's go to the Deno, excuse me, and go to the third-party modules right here and type MongoDB right here. Okay, I'm sorry, not this one, just Mongo. Scroll down, and here is the MongoDB driver for Deno, and we need to copy the following code basically to connect to the MongoDB. So here is the important thing. MongoDB for Deno is not yet very stable. So in order us to be able to run this, we need to specify this unstable. And it also needs the following permissions. It needs the network access because it needs to connect to the following URL. It needs write and read access, and it needs plugin permission as well. So if you are not okay running the script with these permissions, probably you won't be able to follow my my tutorial. But running this is not a big deal. We're just giving a permission to the MongoDB. Okay, so I'm going to copy the following 3 lines. So let's go to the code and paste right here. So we're importing this MongoDB, and I'm going to change the following URL. Okay, so let's take out this from here. Okay, paste, and we need to change password. Okay, so I'm going to copy my password, which I copied before. So, and paste right here. Okay, so this is my MongoDB URL, and as soon as the connection is made, so this line basically creates a connection, then I'm going to export default database from here. Basically, I'm gonna first of all, I need to create database. Const db equals client database. So we're creating or connecting to existing database. It really doesn't care, the MongoDB. So I'm gonna type right here nodes. So I'm going to connect to the nodes database on this client, and then I'm going to export the DB. Okay, so that's all what we need to do in MongoDB. So again, when we're building real applications, generally we don't put passwords in our TS file. So this password and probably the whole URL, this full URL, should be in ignored file, for example, .env file. So because I'm trying to focus on single point, let's call it like this, I only want to focus on MongoDB and REST API. I'm just going to spend time on moving these things in an env file. Just for the future, I plan to build a full stack applications using Deno and some front-end client. And in this case, I'm going to reserve all these things. Okay, just for your information. So then right here, we're exporting the DB. And we need this DB in the rows. So that's the place where I actually want to get the nodes. Okay, so I'm gonna import DB from MongoDB.ts file, and I'm gonna create now collection of nodes. The database is called nodes. The collection will be also called nodes. Const nodes collection equals DB collection, and I'm gonna specify right here nodes. Okay, so after this, I'm going to call const nodes equals collection nodes collection find. I'm calling the MongoDB method find, and that is basically all. So this will find all the nodes inside this collection. But I need to put a wait in front of this because that returns a promise, and I need to wait this promise. Okay, for this I need to put async in front of this callback function. I have the nodes, and I'm going to return these nodes just like this. Okay, awesome. So let's restart the server now, and let's have a look. We won't be able to run this again. We will see this because we are not running with all the necessary flags the MongoDB needs. So we need to allow net, write, read, plugin, and run it with unstable. So I'm going to copy all these flags and change right here. I don't want only allow net, I want all the flags. So this might take a couple of seconds because it yeah, we don't have these functions, by the way. Let's go to the server and comment them again. So we don't have these functions. So let's run this again and let's have a look. Okay, it's downloading the Deno plugin, Deno Mongo, and it's going to put this in the project right here, Deno plugins, Deno plugins. Let's see, when this is downloaded, we basically won't be able to open this file because it's a binary file. Okay, it's a DLL file. Okay, so now server is up and running, and let's try to make request on the get nodes right here. Hit hit the send button, and let's see. So we see empty array, which basically means there are no nodes in this collection we just created. Okay, so let's create one node. So I'm going to uncomment the following line, get single nodes, no, the other one. So let's create node first. So let's go to the rows, and right here I'm going to duplicate this and create nodes. Okay, so we're going to accept context right here, and I want to take out from the request title and the body. So let's go to the Postman and go to the create node endpoint. So this will be post on the nodes, and in the body I'm going to specify the title, my first node, and the body will be first node's body. Okay, let's leave it like this. So whenever I make request, I want to take out this title and body and save it. Okay, so let's come right here in this create node. Let's call it in singular form, create node. We need to export this create node from here as well, and we need to obviously import it right here as well. And now let's implement this create node. So I'm going to take out from context request body, which is a function. Okay, and this function returns a promise. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. So this function returns a promise, and I need to put await in front of this. And this one will give me all the body, but this body has value, and the value has title and the body, this body. Okay, so let's print right here body, for example, equals await, but I want to take out value from this body. So let me show you. So right here, I'm going to print the whole body. Okay, just like this, and return some text, create node. Okay, save this and restart the server and make post request. Let's have a look. Right here in the terminal, we see type is JSON and value is title and body. So this is the value what we want to take out. So I'm going to use destructuring. Okay, I'm going to destructure the body, take out value from this. I'm going to even more destructure the value and take out title and description. My mistake, description. So I have this title and description, and now I can already pass this to MongoDB collection. Okay, so nodes collection, insert one, because we're going to insert just single node, insert one, and we're going to specify right here what I want to insert. I want to insert title to be title and body to be body. Okay, so this one will return a promise. What is this? No value exists in scope for the shortened property body. Excuse me, it's called description. I need to call it body right here. Okay, so I'm going to pass title and body, and this one returns an object. So let's have a look in the documentation of MongoDB right here. If we scroll down, when we insert one, okay, so this one returns an object. This is actually called an insert ID, but it is an object. Okay, and I'm gonna create this ID right here, and I'm gonna print this right here as well. So this one also returns a promise. Okay, and we need to put await in front of this right here, await. So this one finally gives us an ID, and if we print this ID has $, $OID right there. Okay, so let's have a look once and we can understand everything. So let's restart the server and let's make post request on the endpoint, and let's have a look in the console. And right here we see this object ID. So this is the object and this is the unique ID of the node which was just created. The node basically was already created, so if we make a get request on the /nodes, we should see some sort of object, and here it is. Okay, so this is the first node we just created. Awesome, but we need to come right here, and whenever the new node is created, I'm going to return this created node. Okay, context. I'm going to also specify the status code to be 401. Whenever in the REST API new record is created, it should have status 201. Okay, so I'm going to return this, and I'm also going to return the created object. So I'm going to take out this whole object and call it a node. Okay, const node equals to this object. Okay, and then I'm passing the object, and whenever it is created, I have the ID, and in the node how it's called? It's called by default when you retrieve the value from MongoDB, it's called _ID. So I'm going to call it also _ID equals to the ID. But here's the thing, and I want to return this node. But here's the thing, because we are using TypeScript, and now my TypeScript compiler can't understand that this node basically has a property of _ID. Okay, so either we need to create an interface for this node, or we just need to change this node into any. Okay, so for now, I'm going to create, for simplicity, I'm going to now just change this into any. Okay, so whenever new node is created, so we pass this object to the nodes collection, we save in MongoDB, we take the ID, assign back to this node, and return this node. Okay, so let's restart the server and create one more node. Let's go to the post endpoint, my second node, and second node body. Let's make a request. Let's have a look right here. We have this object ID, and it returns the following object: title, body, and the ID. Okay, so let's also add right here the date when the node was created. Okay, I'm going to specify right here date to be a new date. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. We don't need to specify any fields beforehand, so we can dynamically add as more values to the objects as we need. So I'm going to save this and restart the server again, and let's make a request once again. My third, this is response. My third node body, hit the send, and in the response we see this date as well. Okay, however, this date is a little bit like complicated, so it has nesting right there. But the date is there, it's saved, and we can make request on the get nodes and see all the objects we just created. Okay, we have 3 nodes right here, and this one has date as well there. Okay, awesome. Now let's implement the other methods, which will be update node and get single node and delete node. Okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste this get nodes and call it get single node, and right here we have the context, and from context we need to take now ID. So when we are going to fetch single node, we have this ID in the URL. If we have a look in the server right here, we need to take out this ID. Again, we have this get single node. I'm going to export this from here and import in the server. Okay, and then in this get single node, I want to take out the ID. Const ID equals to context params ID. Okay, this is the ID, and I want to call on nodes collection find one, but this find one accepts an object. So I'm going to specify right here the ID needs to be the ID, but this one won't work. Okay, because when we fetch nodes, ID is an object. Okay, and if we just specify that ID needs to be this string, it won't work. Okay, however, when we get single node, the ID is the following string. Okay, so we basically need to change how we wrote right here, and right here $OID is the ID. Okay, this is how we're gonna write, and this one will give a single node, which is what we want, and we can just simply return this node from here. Okay, find one ID equals this one and return this. Okay, let's test this one as well. So I'm going to restart the server, go to the Postman and get single. Let's choose the working ID, paste right here, hit the send, and let's have a look. So right here we have the response, my second node body. We can choose the other one, and this one should have a date as well. So in here is the date. Okay, awesome. Now let's go to the VS Code again and implement the remaining method, which will be, I think we need to implement 2 more methods. So I'm going to call up the implemented methods. Okay, so just copy the following code and just paste. So I'm going to implement now both of them at the same time. So this will be update node. Okay, so we need the ID. We're going to call update one. We're going to specify right here the condition which should be updated. Okay, so which has ID, the following ID. And we need to also specify an object right here, what values should be updated. Okay, so from the request, we can get the title and the body. We are basically able to update title and body. I'm going to copy now this code, this line, which takes the value title and the body from the body. Okay, and I'm going to specify right here title and the body. However, here is one important thing to know about MongoDB. If we pass like this, and for example, we just provide title and body, this will replace all the current data in the MongoDB database. Okay, so right now it might also have date. Okay, so if we pass data like this, it will lose this date. And I'm going to show this to you. So we're gonna run this update one, and basically I'm going to return from here updated. Okay, just like this. Okay, let's restart the server. I want to show this to you. So let's go to the Postman, go to this put, and we're going to update a node, this one, which has date also there. So update this one. Let's go to the body, and I'm also changing the body, nothing else. Okay, so hit the send button, and let's see. So we see method not allowed. Okay, so we have some misconfiguration. Yeah, we don't have this update node. Okay, we need this update node for sure. Update node, and we need to export this update node from here as well and restart the server. So let's make request again, and let's see the response. Updated. So we see this updated. Now let's go to the get all nodes, hit the send button, scroll down, and right here we don't see title and we don't see date as well. Because we updated this one and we only passed body, we lost all the data the object had. Okay, so we shouldn't do this basically, and we need to specify right here $set. Okay, what this means that we're going to pass title and body inside it, and this means that only update the following fields. Don't touch any other fields if there are some other fields, like date, for example. Okay, so if we now, let's save this, and let's actually return the status 200, which is returned by default, and let's return the note as well. So let's have a look in the MongoDB Deno documentation. Okay, whenever something is updated, where it is, update one, it returns how many objects was updated. Okay, so matched count, modified count, and upserted ID. This upserted ID is the if it was insert, not update, it will return the ID, and this is the newly inserted object ID. So basically I'm going to take out only modified count. Okay, so from here I'm going to destructure this node object and take out the modified count. If for some reason the ID we passed using Postman, this ID, was incorrect, the modified count will be 0. Nothing will be modified. Okay, so and we're going to return not found. The ID basically was not correct. If modified count doesn't exist, I'm going to return context response status to be equal to 404, because ID was not actually correct. And I'm going to return from here as well. And we can also specify some optional message. Body equals to an object message note does not exist. Okay, and if everything is okay, then we're gonna return the status code 200, and we can return the whole object. And we're going to do this by calling nodes collection find one, and we're going to specify right here underscore ID corresponds to an object which has $OID right there to be ID. Okay, and this is the ID. So we're basically updating the nodes. If nothing was updated, we're returning 404. If it was updated, we are finding the updated one and returning this. Okay, so let's restart the server, and I'm going to specify some non-existing ID right here. Okay, and let's have a look in the response. Scroll, hit the send. Okay, let's see. Scroll down, we don't see anything. the server. Okay, something is wrong. Let's restart the server. Okay, so hit this end. The server is basically crashed when we do this, so we probably made some mistake. Okay, let's try to specify a correct ID. Okay, so I don't want to specify this ID. Let's specify correct one. Okay, and so probably this is already a problem of MongoDB. Okay, so let's try to get nodes, which works. Let's try to create node, my fourth node right here. Which works, I think so, yes. But the get single node also will work, I think. But it doesn't work to update the node. So we didn't do something correctly, obviously. So we specify the update one, we specify the object. Let's have a look in the documentation. Update one accepts right here. Here basically is a mistake, to be honest, in the documentation. So it cannot, the syntax is not actually correct. So in the update one, as a first argument, we can specify object right here. Instead, this should be wrapped in a curly braces. Obviously, if I just copy and paste this in my code, this one gives us a syntax error, because we can't have parameter like this. Okay, we need to put this in the curly braces. Anyway, so the documentation is not quite accurate. So, but what we are doing seems to be correct. So maybe I don't put await. I have await in front of this. The reason why this is crashing is that the length of this ID, which we are passing right here, needs to be exactly 24 characters. Okay, so we are increasing this length, and that's why it cannot actually correctly decode this. It complains about the length error. So if we just specify right here, just incorrect ID, okay, and this one returns node doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't crash, but it returns node doesn't exist. So if I add one more symbol right there, then it crashes the whole server. Of course, nothing should crash the server. This is not a like good that if you just pass any ID what you want, you can crash the server. But again, as I mentioned, the MongoDB itself is a little bit in an experimental, unstable mode right now while I'm recording this video at the moment. If you are watching this sometime in the future, check out the following link. Maybe this is not unstable anymore, and we have stable version, and we have better documentation which precisely describes what we need to do, and we won't have such kind of problems in the future for sure. But for now, this is the reason. So let's just print this modified count right here. Modified count. Okay, so let's save this. Let's restart the server and try to update 0. Okay, modified count is 0, but the server is not actually crashed. So here it is. So probably we didn't restart the server previously. I don't know the reason, but right now it works. So it returned this 0, and we see that node doesn't exist because we didn't specify the correct ID. So let's take the correct ID, this one for example, and update the node. Okay, hit the send button, scroll down, and right here we see that the node was successfully updated. We see body updated, and we don't basically have date because it wasn't presented in this object. Okay, awesome. So now let's implement the delete, and we're good to go. So I'm going to remove this console log statement. Okay, and let's scroll down, and I'm going to implement actually let's duplicate this one again, or I'm going to copy just this line. This will be delete node right here. So we need to take out the ID. Const ID equals context params ID, and on the nodes collection I'm going to call delete one. Okay, and we're going to specify object underscore ID corresponds to an object again, object ID equals to the ID. Okay, so this one will delete, and this one will return a promise again. We can wait until this promise is done, and this one returns the delete count as well. So we can have a look right here, delete count, how many was deleted. So we can check again const count. So if the count returned some value, we just return success. If not, we just return 404. But I'm going to do it vice versa. So if the count doesn't exist, context response status equals to 404, and return from here as well. So we can also print the following message: node doesn't exist. However, if it's actually deleted, I'm going to return context status, context response status to be 402. So this is basically a correct status code in REST APIs to return that the server successfully processed and doesn't need to return anything. Okay, so I'm going to export this delete node from here, go to the server and import this delete node from here as well, and uncomment the following route. And now let's have a look. So we need to obviously restart the server, go to the Postman, and let's choose the one like this one and delete it. Okay, so hit this send button, and we see right here the status code 204, which means that it did its job. Let's get all the nodes, and right here we see 3 nodes. Let's delete other ones as well. Okay, so let's delete this one and make a request. We have only 2 of them. So if I now create a new node, this one will have a date as well. So my 5th node. So let's just send like this, and when we get all the nodes, this one has date also. And if I decide to update this particular node, 5th one, okay, update, specify the ID, and specify right here only body, and this one has different body for sure. So if I hit the send button right here, it returns the updated node. However, it didn't lose this data, title and date. So we just updated the body, but title and body, title and date is also there, because we did this using this $set MongoDB. So that's basically the end of this video. If you want to add authentication to this REST API, I made a video about JWT authentication using Deno, and you can check out this. You can find the link right here somewhere in the top right corner of the screen or in the video description, and you can just combine these 2 videos together to implement the authentication and just allow only accessing to endpoints when the user is authorized. So if you find this video useful, definitely hit the like button and just share this video, because sharing helps me a lot to grow. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next time.